It pains me to admit, but the Deathriders story isn't working. And the reason why it pains me to admit this is that I was one of the most excited people about this AEW Deathriders story. And I was the one that predicted why Moxley was doing all of this in the first place. It came after WrestleDream. My theory went viral that Moxley was doing this to elevate the rest of the AEW locker room, that he didn't want to have to basically on-screen kill Bryan Danielson. But he had to, because Swerve, he would have just retired him. Darby would have just retired him. He had to do it to change the entire AEW locker room, to give them a complete shock. It was basically known as Endgame for Marvel, right? This was AEW's Endgame, and it was going to change the rest of the locker room. And at the beginning of this story, it looked like they were on the collision course to do just that. Moxley came out afterwards and basically said the exact theory that I had, and we thought that Darby Allin, Daniel Garcia, Private Party, Hook, all of these, Orange Cassidy, all of these guys were the next ones up. And at the very beginning, they were really going towards that story. So how did all of this come crashing down, and how are we in this place? Let's talk about it. AEW did a great job at the beginning of this story, and we seen Daniel Garcia win the TNT Championship. We seen Isaiah Cassidy's hand break, and then all of a sudden, Private Party are the tag team champions. They were really working well for the story, and they were also elevating Orange Cassidy up to the main event scene with the story of him believing that he's not that guy. He's not the leader for AEW. So far, I think all of this great, and I was doing my own video talking about how I would book Moxley's entire year, and it was going very, very similar to my booking video. I was really excited about this story, and I think a lot of people were. I even said myself, this could be AEW's best story ever, and I genuinely believed that. But a huge problem came at Full Gear, right? Jon Moxley versus Orange Cassidy, a great match that we see Jon Moxley defeat Orange Cassidy with the help of the Deathriders. Orange Cassidy absolutely stepped up to be known as a leader, but in that moment, we should have had consequence for Orange Cassidy. And I love Orange Cassidy. I don't want to see him not wrestle, but I think for this story, they should have done what they did with Danielson, and as they attempted to do at first. It looks like Orange Cassidy is going to drink bleach. He should be taken out for months because of this. But then they convolute the story. They put in Hangman, and they put in Christian, and they put in Jay White, and they put in all of these people, and it kind of muddies the story. And I get that you want to have a lot of people in that main event scene, but I feel like they really, really rushed that. And Orange Cassidy ends up just being fine. He's back like 2 weeks later, and that was a really disappointing part of the story, because it feels like since then, there isn't a ton of consequences for the guys going up against Moxley. Yes, sure, he may take out a Brandon Cutler or even a Dark Order, and that stuff is great. I do think that they should do that stuff and take out some of the lower guys on the card, but there should also be some real consequences for the major baby faces going up against Jon Moxley. It was talked about like Endgame, right? One of the reasons why Endgame was so successful at the end is because some of your favorite superheroes died. It shocked everybody. And it was this pain that you had. And you went into Infinity War hoping that your favorite still lived. And there were still consequences even for that. Even when there was all of the superheroes come back, Tony Stark still had to die. We're not seeing that happen in AEW anymore. Like, who is getting taken out? Who's out for months now? Basically nobody. And that's incredibly disappointing, because it makes Mox not be taken as serious. The Deathriders aren't taken as serious because they say that they're going to kill everybody. They say that there's going to be these awful repercussions, and they're going to run havoc through AEW, and not really. There was talks of them taking over the Superstation, and they came out and did a promo in Philly. Eventually, they ended Rampage, which I thought was a great little touch for the Deathrider story, but the Deathriders aren't this vicious group that everybody should be fearing. In fact, they're just going after a couple of people. So I think Mox needing to be more feared, and there needing to be more consequences, more of the beloved baby faces taken off screen for months. And the second biggest issue that I think I have is we need to see more of the major challengers, right? We need to see Kenny Omega, Hangman Page one-on-one, Swerve Strickland, MJF, Will Ospreay. All of these guys are seeing this stuff happening. Outside of Hangman, nobody's really doing anything about it. The only babyface that has made logical sense throughout the story is Darby Allin. Darby Allin told Will Ospreay while they were in the C2 and Darby Allin saved Will Ospreay from the Deathriders, he was like, something bad's going to happen here. You guys, we need to work together. And Will was like, I need to win the C2, dog. So then he was like, after the C2, come knock on my door, right? And I'll be there to help you. C2's over, lads. Darby Allin got kicked down a flight of stairs. Has Will Ospreay went after Jon Moxley? No. Will Ospreay's caring way more about Kyle Fletcher and Kenny Omega being back. I need Kenny's back, and it's very, very early. I need Kenny to also start to talk about this, right? I need MJF to be on this more, not be fucking feuding with Jeff Jarrett. We need Swerve to talk about. We don't have to have all of them feud with the Deathriders at the same exact time, but we can have them talk about that and allow this to bleed into the entire show of Dynamite and the entire show of Collision. It should be a way bigger storyline than just Moxley going up against like rated FTR and everybody being like, Cope, hope you're good there, bub. I think that the end game, obviously, for this is to have Darby Allin probably defeat Jon Moxley at All In. But Jesus Christ, do we have such a long time before that? We need genuine title contenders that you believe may actually be the one to take down Jon Moxley, which is why I say Kenny Omega, Hangman Page one-on-one, Swerve Strickland. I would love a story where Hangman can't get it done against Jon Moxley. Swerve cannot get it done against Jon Moxley. And they realize that they're not the same wrestlers after their match at All Out. They're not the same people, and they need to work together to, one, take down the Deathriders, and to, two, find themselves again. There should be more layers. Hangman should be wanting to save AEW, and he's just mad at Jay White. He's giving a fuck more about Jay White than the entirety of AEW. And Jay White, if you're not going to put the title on him, have him be one of the guys that's taken out for months by Jon Moxley. I get that you want to have your biggest wrestlers on your shows, but I think if you want this story to be successful, you need to take out some of your biggest baby faces. I think that the only one that was taken out outside of Danielson that has really made sense was the Young Bucks. They just left because they're scared cowards. And I think that part makes sense, but we should be having Okada be pissed about this and either go after Jon Moxley or be pissed at the Elite, do something here. What are we doing? Once again, it's not bleeding into the rest of the show like it should be. I think number three, an issue with this story is the old guys, right? There's a big issue with the older talent in AEW, right? If Jon Moxley still believes in the original theory that this is why he destroyed Bryan Danielson, this is why he put the bag over his head, this is why he's doing all of this, take out Jericho. Put the bag over Jericho's head because he is taking the screen time from the future of AEW. Take out Copeland. Put the bag over Copeland. Put the bag over FTR. Put the bag over Jeff Jarrett. Put the bag over, I guess Billy Gunn isn't really being used all that much anymore. But put the bag over the guys that are past their prime that people are saying, hey, get the fuck off my TV screen because we want to see Lee Moriarty. We want to see these younger guys on the TV screen. Cool. Moxley can enforce that by taking these guys out. And it could also go more to the point of Moxley isn't this just ultra sinister evil heel because he is doing this for the greater good. You may not be okay with it when he's putting a bag over Bryan Danielson's head, but you're also like, okay, I see where he's coming from when he's doing it with Jericho. And a beautiful part of this story is you can begin to have Jon Moxley do it to the guys that are getting the spots. Then he starts to do it to Lee Moriarty, and you're like, John, you're throwing all your theory away because he is getting drunk with power. My next issue with this is I think that Claudio, Pac, Wheeler Yuta, Marina, the rest of the Deathriders, they need more wins. They need to be feared more by themselves. This is why I was an advocate for Claudio actually winning the C2, because I think that it would have made him look even stronger. But it's okay. Claudio didn't necessarily need to win the C2, especially when there's no involvement with the Deathriders. But I think that those trios titles need to be defended so much more. You want to do Cope and FTR, rated FTR, whatever the fuck they're called, right? Have them go up against the trios and not Jon Moxley, right? Have the trios defeat these guys and take these guys out. Have Claudio be more in that Moxley mindset where he's willing to put the bag over their heads, and Yuta's willing to put the bag over their heads, and Marina's doing it, and Pac's doing it, and they are seen as just as much of a force, if not, just a little bit less than Jon Moxley, while Moxley's calling the shots. Moxley's the coach telling them to do all of this, and they are actually doing the acts and becoming way more of stars themselves, because coming out of this, they should be seen as main event guys as well. I don't know what we're doing with Willow and Marina. We need somebody to be going up against Marina a lot more. She should be taking out women. She should be going for a title. She should be doing something to be in a more condensed story with a woman. One of the coolest things that you could have done is Stat has felt so bad, right? Stat has talked about feeling awful about what she did to Orange Cassidy and Willow. Have Marina put that bag over Willow's head and have Chris Statlander come out and kick Marina's ass, right? Or have her put the bag over Orange Cassidy's head and Chris Statlander comes out and kicks Marina's ass, right? There's two easy stories to tell right there of Chris Statlander doing it, not only for AEW, as she's one of the, AEW originals, but to do it to say sorry. The more I talk about this story and the potential that they could go with this, I think the more I'm getting frustrated because there's so many layers that they could be going with. Instead, we're taking out fucking Rock and Roll Express, and we're taking out the Dark Order, and we're taking out fucking Brandon Cutler. I'm getting more frustrated, but I need to talk about this story more. I think that another issue with this story is we are not seeing people team up and join the Deathriders. I think both should happen, right? I think the Young Bucks left. They just dipped. Okada should either be like, fuck, I'm fucked here because everyone hates me, and I joined the Elite, says I thought I had a cushy position in this. Maybe I join the Deathriders. Or Okada becoming babyface and being like, no, the Elite fucked me over. I'm going to go be babyface. I'm going to go beat the shit out of Jon Moxley. Cool. Do something like that. The same thing should go for Jack Perry. I think Jack Perry should join the Deathriders. I think that he should join the Deathriders, especially when Mox said, like, whatever he said when he met face-to-face with Jack, basically, I don't care what they say about you. You're always a good kid to me. Right? Jack is like, fuck the Elite and what they did to me. I'm joining the Deathriders. Once again, he's doing a terrible act, and he is a heel, but you kind of understand his motivation. And in the same term, we should be having more people team up with the good guys. Daniel Garcia won the TNT Championship, and that is amazing. Private Party won the tag team titles, and that is amazing. They did step one of this story. But now Daniel Garcia is not going after the Deathriders. That should still be the main objective. Private Party should still be going after the Deathriders. Orange Cassidy should still be going after the Deathriders until these guys are either taken out and lose their championships, or they are succeeding in beating. They take the trios championships off of them. They are beating up Jon Moxley. And then, okay, guys, Daniel Garcia couldn't get it done against Jon Moxley. But he's telling Will Ospreay, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be right in your corner. You can go be the guy. Will Ospreay doesn't get it. And Will Ospreay goes, hey, Darby Allin, you're going to be the guy. And actually have them be the guy instead of Will Ospreay not giving a fuck about what happened to Darby Allin. I also think House of Black needs to join Darby Allin. I think Brody, we just did that for like 2 seconds. We had Brody help out Darby and save Darby and be that big brother to him, to Claudio. I need to see more of that shit. I think ultimately, I think the biggest thing is just continuity. Continuity throughout the show, continuity throughout the feuds, continuity throughout the promos and storylines just isn't happening. We have Hangman Page versus Christopher Daniels. We have Jeff Jarrett trying to win the world title. We have fucking MJF going after Jeff Jarrett instead of wanting to try to go up against Jon Moxley. And also, if MJF is being the scared little rat that he is because he doesn't want to have to go up against Jon Moxley for this, cool. Why the fuck is he picking Jeff Jarrett to be the guy to get it first? Hopefully, we see Kenny come out and actually give a fuck about this because I swear to God, the only guy with any logical sense in this entire storyline is Darby Allin. And he got pushed down the stairs. And I guess that means he's taken out for fucking 3 months. Basically, what I want to say about the Death Rider story and why it's not working is there is no continuity throughout week-to-week storylines. It's very frustrating to me because I really believe in this story. I still believe it's extremely fixable, and you can crown Darby Allin in that moment at All In to become world champion and pull off a great story. But right now, we have lost the plot. We are tying up Rock and Roll Express instead of going up against the top of AEW's roster or elevating the guys that you believe are the future of AEW's roster. It's not happening anymore like it was a couple months ago. I'm extremely disappointed in this story. Yes, it is fixable. Yes, I am down to fix it because I am really, really hopeful that they can do something to save this story because it could genuinely be one of AEW's best stories ever told. But I'm starting to believe that is not happening. They have completely lost the plot. And by Revolution, they will have just pivoted, just put the fucking title on Kenny Omega like everybody else wants. And we just end the story there because Kenny just makes sense as the savior of AEW. Darby Allin, I'm so sorry that's not your moment, but I think AEW is really fucking up this story. It's extremely aggravating as a fan because week to week, I was really, really excited. It was one of the stories I was most excited about in professional wrestling. And I don't know if we're getting the story that I think so many people had in their head, and I kind of think was a relatively easy story to book. I did it on YouTube. Yeah. Let me know how you guys feel about this story, because now I'm fucking depressed. Had so much potential. I think I'm going to end this video before I get more mad about the way that AEW has told this story. So let me know what you guys feel. Once again, this is not to bash AEW. I know that it's very popular for content creators to just bash AEW and say that everything that they do is terrible and wrong. But this is just genuine criticism from a massive AEW fan, hoping that this story could have been so much better. So you guys let me know how you guys feel about this story. Would you guys have some ideas to save this story? Or should they just be pivoting and just put that title on Kenny Omega and just have him have an awesome 2025 and put on some of the best matches that you have ever seen? Because that's not the worst consolation prize here. But I'm a little sad with the way that we're going. Deuces. Fuck.